It's one of the most beautiful and exotic scores of the 19th century by Rimsky-Korsakov, who was hugely influential Russian composer. He wrote many public pieces for state occasions and very, typically celebratory pieces.
Welcome to This Week at the NCPA. Really eminent personality who joins us today from the UK, Martyn Brabbins. He's conductor of so many symphony orchestras around the world, but allow me to list out a few of his achievements. Currently chief conductor, Malmö Symphony Orchestra, and he takes over as chief conductor, Symphony Orchestra of India, January of 2026. He's also music director of the English National Opera. He held that position from 2016 to 2023. Artistic advisor, Huddersfield Choral Society, Prince Consort Professor of Conducting at the Royal College of Music, and visiting Professor of Conducting at the Royal Scottish Conservatoire. Wonderful to speak to you, Sir Brabbins. How are you?
It's nice to be here. I'm very well, thank you. And wow, it's always impressive, isn't it, to hear people tell you your achievements. They all feel rather special and exotic, but they're part of my life, and it's a wonderful life.
Ah, that's very well put. We'd like to thank Symphony Orchestra of India patron city, and this is supported by the Godrej Industries Group. We really acknowledge corporate sponsorship. Now, why Sir Martyn Brabbins has joined us is because of what I could call twin delights. 22nd of August at 7 p.m. Tickets are live now at Book My Show, as well as at the venue, which is the National Centre of Performing Arts. This is at the Jamshid Barber Theatre. He conducts Rimsky-Korsakov and Shostakovich. And I'd like to start by talking about this piece by Rimsky-Korsakov's Scheherazade. And I believe it's inspired by the tales of 1001 Nights. Would you lead us through that?
It is. It's one of the most beautiful and exotic scores of the 19th century by Rimsky-Korsakov, who was hugely influential Russian composer, and really took the way of writing for orchestra and the use of harmony, color, and orchestration. He took that forward many degrees, because he had this extraordinary imagination, which, of course, when you're inspired by the tale of the 1001 Nights, with all the various colorful stories that Scheherazade told the Sultan so that she would save her own life, he found a way of encapsulating all the delights and all the mystery and drama of these stories in the musical score, and it's just wonderfully exotic music to listen to.
Well, like Sir Martyn Brabbins just said, exotic. It's an exotic adventure and romance, and a lush, colorful orchestral suite that paints vivid scenes. Now let's move to what could be a complete contrast. Shostakovich's Symphony No. 5, I believe it was written under intense political pressure during Stalin's regime. So a bit of history in there, Sir Brabbins.
Yes, I mean, there's a lot of history with many of Shostakovich's works. He was, of course, the foremost composer in the Soviet era. And this particular symphony, he entitled it, so they say, he entitled it a Soviet artist's reply to just criticism. So Stalin went to the opera one night and took great exception to one of Shostakovich's operas, and wrote a rather terrifying piece on the front page of Pravda, the main newspaper, which Shostakovich felt terrified and threatened by. So he felt that he had to kind of modify his language a little bit from the exoticism that he used in the opera, The Lady Macbeth of Mtsensk. And this piece it's no less wonderful music. In fact, it's one of the great symphonies of the 20th century. And maybe because he felt this terrible pressure, there's such an incredible undercurrent of drama and tension in just about all of the music. But it's relieved at the end with this wonderful climax where the music we begin in a minor key, and we end in this glorious blaze of D major at the end of the finale. Some people say it's kind of false rejoicing, but nonetheless, there's the effect of those last couple of minutes of the score are really climactic and something that irresistibly powerful.
Yeah, I can imagine in that era, he needed to convey the suffering and resilience that he was feeling. And it really is a representation of that. How wonderful. Now, what happens 4 days later at the Jamshid Baba, 26th of August, 7 p.m. Again, tickets are live as we speak at Book My Show, at the app, as well as bookmyshow.com, should you choose to go online, and of course at the National Center of Performing Arts. Martyn Brabbins conducts Elgar, Tchaikovsky, and Prokofiev with the Symphony Orchestra of India, and a special violin solo by Marat Bisengaliev. So I think a nice place to start would be Elgar and the Cockaigne Overture, which I believe is representative of Edwardian London.
Precisely. I mean, Elgar was a quintessentially English composer, and he wrote many public pieces for state occasions and very, typically celebratory pieces. This overture, Cockaigne, is in London Town, is the subtitle, and it paints a picture of life in London around that era, early part of the 20th century. And again, a little bit like Rimsky-Korsakov, dare I say, Elgar was a master orchestrator. So the way he uses the orchestra to paint this picture of London town, including the sound of car horns and horses' hooves and carts and so on, and bustle and hustle, it's just wonderful music. Of course, Elgar had another side to his personality. He had also this very deep emotional output in the symphonies and some of the oratorios. But this overture is very, very public and sparkling, and one of my favorites, actually. And I think the audience in Mumbai will love this music.
There you have it, the bustling charm, pomp, and humor of Edwardian London, the metropolis captured with its warmth and some affectionate satire there by Elgar. And we move to, and I've had the good fortune, Sir Martyn Brabbins, of seeing Marat Bisengaliev play some Tchaikovsky. He's just a wonderful soloist, isn't he? Marat Bisengaliev, who is the founding music director of the Symphony Orchestra of India, shall perform one of his most beloved and virtuosic works in the violin repertoire, Tchaikovsky's Violin Concerto in D major. I'd like you to talk about the piece and Marat.
Yes, well, Marat and I, we go back a long, long way. I spent 2 years as a student in Russia, in the Soviet Union, in the late 1980s, and I met Marat, I think in 1989, when I did a little trip to conduct in Almaty, in what was then the capital of Kazakhstan, and lo and behold, we performed the Tchaikovsky Concerto together. So it's been a long time, that's nearly 40 years ago, but it's wonderful to reacquaint together, Marat and I, who we've stayed friends and we stayed in touch, of course, over these years. And yes, what a remarkable thing he's done, along with Mr. Suntuk, in establishing and leading the orchestra and bringing it to this wonderful level of virtuosity that it's at. The concerto itself, well, it needs few words. It's one of the great concertos of the 19th century. It's full of incredible melodic invention and emotional depth in this beautiful second movement, the slow movement, and extraordinary virtuosity, as one would expect from the Russian school of string playing is second to none, and Tchaikovsky was well aware of that and wrote this sparkling, excoriating beauty of the violin concerto. So I'm really looking forward to getting back to that with Marat.
And the evening culminates in a story which is really a household story in India. Shakespeare's best-known work in this country, Romeo and Juliet. Many Bollywood films have fashioned adaptations of it. And this evening shall culminate with excerpts from Prokofiev's adaptation of that timeless tragedy, Romeo and Juliet. Imagine, very evocative of the 20th century. I'd like you to comment on that.
Yes, well, I look forward to seeing one of these Bollywood movies. It'd be great for me to experience that. Of course, there's many other artists have been inspired by that. West Side Story of Bernstein, of course, is based on that. So, I mean, the Prokofiev ballet, Romeo and Juliet, is certainly one of the greatest ballets of the 20th century. It's an extraordinarily powerful experience. I've never actually conducted the ballet, but I've been to experience the score many times. When my children were younger, we always used to go to the ballet at Christmas, and Prokofiev would have been one of the ones we would aim for. But Prokofiev was a phenomenally gifted musician, and very natural kind of music just came out of every pore of his body. He was a wonderful pianist, and his language for the telling the story and the drama of Shakespeare's story kind of fits like a glove. And what I've selected for this concert is a selection of movements from the ballet, which kind of tell the story. We understand the conflict between the Montagues and Capulets. We meet some of the characters. We see Juliet as a young girl. We meet Friar Lawrence. We see the drama unfolding and the tragedy that ends the piece. And yeah, it's a kind of a narrative selection from this extraordinarily rich and evocative score.
My last question is about you taking on the mantle of Chief Conductor, Symphony Orchestra of India from January of the coming year, which is 2026. You just mentioned Chairman Khushru Santuk at the National Center of Performing Arts and Marat, and this is really their labor of love. What do you think of the SOI and, having been associated with the orchestra, what are your feelings about taking over?
Well, of course, the feelings of great joy and pride. It's just a privilege to be asked to be involved more closely. And since I've been asked to take over, I've had many discussions with both Khushru and Marat about the future, about planning, about the repertoire we should choose, about how we can enhance the quality and the kind of experience of the Symphony Orchestra of India, both for the players and for the audiences. And I mean, it's just a unique establishment in the country, and I want to try and make everybody really aware of just how special this is, both people within your country and people outside the country, because it really is a truly extraordinary story that this orchestra came into being and is going from strength to strength at a time where, in my country, you mentioned my time at English National Opera. I had to resign my post there because of a lack of support of the culture in the UK, which is tragic, of course. Luckily, there are many wonderful things going on here also, but I think it's something of a miracle that Symphony Orchestra of India flourishes. It maintains this incredible spirit and energy, and people love to come back and play in the orchestra each season. And for the experiences I've had, it's the same feeling. I just love being there. One feels that one is doing something really special. It's not just another concert. It's not just another project. It's something that people care passionately about. And yes, as I said at the beginning of my answer, it's simply a privilege, Hrishi, to be involved. And I'm looking forward to coming very shortly. When I finish the project, I'm involved in a wonderful project right now. It's called the National Youth Brass Band of Great Britain. They have a summer school for 75 young talented brass players. I was a brass player myself, and we're having an absolute ball here, rehearsing these extraordinarily talented young people. So, there is talent aplenty all over the world. All the talent needs, the musical talent needs the opportunity to express that talent. And it's just wonderful to know here we have these young people getting this experience. And of course, it's the same in Mumbai. There are young musicians getting their lessons from members of the Symphony Orchestra of India, getting this energy, this enthusiasm, inspiration from the greatest art form in the world, which is music.
There you have it. You have 2 dates with Martyn Brabbins this autumn season. The first one is 22nd of August, the Symphony Orchestra of India. Martyn Brabbins conducts Rimsky-Korsakov and Shostakovich. And then 4 days later, 26th of August, again at the Jamshid Baba Theatre, 7 p.m., Martyn Brabbins conducts Elgar, Tchaikovsky, Prokofiev. Really looking forward to the Symphony Orchestra of India in all its glory. Tickets are live at Book My Show as well as at the venue. I really value your time, and I hope to meet with you in person in later this month when you're here. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Take care.
94.3 Radio 1.